Hi guys, welcome to my first YouTube video. My name is Nihala and I run a home fragrance brand and it involves candles. So I thought the best way to start off this channel is to show you guys how I make my candles and home fragrances at home. Whether you want to start making candles for a business or hobby or for just a personal use, and also if you're just curious about how the process is, this video is for you. And honestly, candle making has become a very therapeutic process for me, and I hope this video inspires you guys to start making candles as a hobby for personal use or to start your own business on a budget.
These are the things you need to start making candles. The first thing you're going to need is a wax melter. This is the wax melter I use for making candles. It helps melt the wax evenly and makes the process much easier. I got this from Amazon, but if you're a beginner, you can also use the double boiler method to melt your wax safely. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Make sure to wear the gloves because making candles can get quite messy sometimes. The first thing you're going to need is wax. I personally use both soy wax and coconut wax for my candles because they give a smooth finish and work really well for my scented candles. They also burn cleaner, which is one of the main reasons I love using them.
The next thing you're gonna need is a good fragrance oil. This is what basically gives your candles their scent, and honestly, choosing fragrance is one of the most fun parts.
The next thing we need is wicks. So there are different kinds of wicks, but mostly it's wooden and cotton. I personally use the cotton wicks. The next thing is jars. When choosing jars for candle making, always make sure that they're heat resistant and safe for high temperature. I personally love using the amber jars and the clear jars because they look aesthetic and work really well. But you can choose any style as long as it's heat resistant and made with a strong material.
Next thing you're going to need is a good scissors. I personally use this. This is a wick trimmer, and in my honest opinion, you can use any scissors which is sharp enough to cut the wick, but I also run a business, so this makes the process way much easier for me. The next thing you're going to need is a good thermometer. I personally use this one because it gives the result very quickly and it is very accurate results also.
I would also recommend buying a heat gun if you guys are planning to start a candle business. It really helps smooth out the top of your candles, also remove imperfections and give your candles more clean and professional finish.
Now let's get on the process. First, we need to melt this wax.
The wax is completely melted. The next step is to add fragrance. Before you do that, you need to measure the amount of wax you are using. The fragrance load depends on your wax. So for a stronger scent, you can increase it within the safe percentage range. Always mix it well at the right temperature so the fragrance binds properly with the wax. Don't mind the condition of the equipment, guys. I'm using it for some time.
I usually do measure in this cup. This gives an accurate composition of my fragrance oil. You can get this on Amazon too. Now the golden rule is to mix the fragrance oil with the wax for 2 minutes exactly. Before pouring the wax, you need to set the wick.
For placing the wick, I don't usually use wick stickers. I prefer using a glue gun instead. It holds the wick firmly in place and is also more cost effective, which helps reduce extra expenses when making candles. To keep the wick centered, I use a wick centering tool that I got from Amazon. It helps hold the wick perfectly in place while the candle sets. If you don't have one, you can also use simple things like wooden sticks or any support to keep the wick centered.
Now before pouring the wax into the jar, temperature is around 74 degrees, which is the right temperature to pour the wax.
Pour the wax slowly into the jar.
While the candle settles down, let me share some quick tips and tricks of candle making. When you think of candle making, it's an easy process in our mind, right? That's what I thought too. But when you get into it more and more, there's a lot of process involved in candle making. When I first started making candles, there was nobody to tell me this thing. There was only an overview on how to make candles. So I genuinely hope this video is helpful for you guys. So when I talked about the temperature earlier, temperature is a really important thing while making candles. So the temperature should be between 65 degrees to 75 degrees, in between that. Otherwise, if the wax is too hot or too cold, what happens is that it forms frosting on most of the candles. It makes the candle looks like it doesn't fit the jar. This is what's called frosting and wet spots. To avoid this, you have to pour it in a right temperature. For candle making, temperature matters a lot. If you're doing it for a hobby or anything else, it's fine. If you're planning on starting a business for candles, the temperatures do really matter. Just wait, keep patience, take time while making candles. You can't rush this process. If you have an order to make 100 candles or 200 candles, just make sure you're pouring it in the right temperature. Otherwise, you have to redo everything. I would recommend you guys to pour the wax at the right temperature for it to stick to the jar and doesn't cause any issues in the future. Another tip I have for you guys is to keep the candles curing time. One mistake a lot of beginners do is that using their candle immediately after making it keeps the wax and the fragrance oil to bind together to give a higher fragrance throw. Most candles curing for 7 to 14 days can make a huge difference in how the candle will perform. These are the things I genuinely wish I knew before I started making candles.
And this is the finished candle. As you can see, it's smooth and well set. The final step is to trim the wick to about 1/4 inch for a clean and even burn. This is the final result of all the steps coming together. I do have the labels printed out for my candles. Let's stick the labels to get that finishing touch.
If you've been thinking about start making candles, let this be a sign to just start. You really don't need everything to be perfect in the beginning. You learn as you go, and that's honestly the part of the process. I'll be sharing a lot more content on candle making and home fragrances and everything that goes behind a candle brand. So if you want to see more, subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!